Yes, I am at the moment a carrier of the common flu. I thought it was about time I reviewed a disease movie, a plague movie. I'm now talking about The Carrier, a 2015 British movie directed by Anthony Woodley. And the premise of this one is an antibiotic-resistant pandemic decimates the planet, and the only safe place is in the air. That's the log line here. Now, the premise of this one focuses on a small amount of people as they are basically just trying to survive. They're trying to get away from this kind of deadly disease which is devastating the majority of the world, in hope of trying to find, some kind of safe haven somewhere. And obviously we basically follow the adventures of these people and their struggles, both internally and from external threats as well. So obviously with today's kind of potentially fatal diseases, this is kind of one of these horror films which is scary because these kind of things have a degree of kind of possibility with them. Now, this isn't a zombie film. There's no zombies in this, although there are some kind of infected people that kind of has some quite heavy makeup on them. So let's discuss. To me, this film had serious issues, and it was mainly in the writing department. So basically it has quite a good prologue. The prologue gets you kind of quite intrigued for this film. However, then we kind of jump to the main sort of plot, and we're not even introduced to the characters. This is the problem. We meet this kind of plane full of all these people, but we have no idea who they are. We have no idea why they're sort of banded together, and what relevance they have. Are they important people? Are they just random people that happen to sort of be on this plane? What roles that people have, basically. That was the first thing. And that's basically the film progresses. We kind of learn a little bit more about this kind of like this disease, basically, and it affects people very rapidly, and they kind of come up with a massive kind of like bulbous kind of like blobs on their face. It's a little bit like elephantitis, basically, like the Elephant Man looks a little bit like that. But it's inconsistent. We see one woman who's infected with a small amount at the beginning of the movie, but seemingly an hour or so later, her head's properly puffed up and everything. Yet we have people on the ground who seem to have survived on their a lot slower rate and things like that. So that's inconsistent. The thing that bothered me the most, however, with this film is the depiction of the actual diseased people themselves, because every single one of them seemingly wants to target the uninfected people, but they're not zombies. These are not mindless killers or anything like that. These people are still completely lucid and completely have all their faculties. So why is it they're trying to go after these people? It doesn't make sense. And we have people that are seemingly not infected that turn infected, and then just like that they're kind of trying to turn on the uninfected people, and it doesn't make sense. The story is not telling us that this kind of disease affects the brain and kind of makes you aggressive and kind of wanting to eat people, like say a kind of like 28 days later rage virus and things like that. So I felt that kind of the writing with this was quite poor. There's also some plot choices that happen throughout the film, not kind of giving anything away, that just seem very dumb, and kind of some things that seem very obvious. There's some acting here that's particularly questionable. And going back to the writing, just briefly in regards to the characters, when we kind of do kind of learn a little bit about our characters, they're so kind of thin cliches, basically, and everyone seems to have just one real sort of characteristic, basically, and don't have any sort of real depth to their character. So the biggest failing here is the writing. On the plus side, the makeup effects do look pretty good here. They kind of look very grotesque and quite horrific, I have to say. So they did a good job here, and it's kind of it's obviously somewhat of an interesting premise. Obviously having this kind of this setting in the kind of the world of aviation, so it's kind of quite good. And that all sort of side of it, it's quite interesting, and the actual idea behind it I found very interesting, and kind of a tale that you would want to see it. It's kind of one of these sort of disease sort of films, like 28 Days Later, plague films. But I think that on the surface of it sounds like it's a good idea, but unfortunately the writing has ruined this film. The direction isn't bad. The acting, like I say, is a mixed bag. There are some really poor actors in this. Some of them aren't too bad, but there's a couple here, and they are, well, the man anyway, he's a horrible actor, sorry. But overall, I found this very disappointing. There's a couple of, on the surface, like I said, there's a couple of like nice aesthetic things that I kind of liked here, but it didn't make sense to me. It was just, unfortunately, very poorly written. So I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you later. Bye for now.